To say I'm not nervous is an understatement for sure. I'm very excited to be here. Thrilled that Jen asked me to speak on Native for this month's topic. But if you guys were all in aprons, it would be a little bit easier, and I'd probably yell at you a little bit. So if I start yelling at you, you understand why. Thank you. Thank you so much. But before we go into the topic and what I really want to discuss, I kind of want to just do a little land acknowledgement behind it, the land that we stand on. So right here is a tribal nations map. You can kind of look at it and see who really owns the land that we stand on. So our land acknowledgement is establishing thriving economies and networks of indigenous nations, each with its own identity and creation story to the land and spiritual beliefs sourced in its natural world. Their interactions with the environment were the product of thousands of years of observation of the habitats of animals and medicinal properties of plants, experimentation with resources and edibles available to them. My name is David Vargas. I am the chef owner of Vida Cantina. We've been there for about a little over 10 years. I've been very blessed along these years to work with a lot of different community members, but I'm going to tell you how Native culture really relates to me, my Hispanic upbringing, and now in New England itself. Growing up, yeah? That's baby chef right there, as Jen said it the other day. Growing up Hispanic in Southern California and just around the world, you're taught two things: family and food. It means the world to me, and I had no idea how it was going to be such an impact as I grew up, eating, learning, and loving the food of my culture and turn it into my life's passion. Let me start by a simple saying: Sin maíz no hay país. It's a saying we have up in the restaurant. If you've been to our restaurant, it's right there, focused right as you walk in. What does this saying mean? Without corn, there is no country. Why is that so important to not only the Mexican culture, but to our culture altogether? Well, for over 20 years, there's been a group of organizers throughout Mexico that have been working to help preserve the country's native corn varieties. It is a proposed law that helps recognize native corn to Mexico as part of the food heritage, supporting its small farmers, and creating seed banks to help save the native corn varieties, preserving the characteristics of its native corn. We're learning about that right now throughout our United States and GMO. This is a whole country that's dedicating itself to preserving non-GMO processed corn. It's absolutely beautiful. This corn is the staple of the Mexicano culture. It is my purpose to slowly start making it and reintroduce it as the staple of the New England diet. Through my wife and our old homeschool group, I was able to be introduced to the Cox family. Who knows the Cox family, right? Chuck is an icon, Chuck and Dorn. Dorn on the left, Chuck on the right. Father and son. I was introduced to the Cox family at a tuckaway farm in Lee, New Hampshire. At the time, we were about 3 years old at the restaurant, and I really just wanted to make the best tacos that I could. To do this, you have to start with some of the best ingredients, but the staple to a taco is corn, the tortilla, right? You can't have anything. It's not just the vessel for everything, it's 75% of the taco itself. So I could go about it two ways. Through the Sin Maíz No Hay País project, I could import corn from Mexico and find some beautiful small farms, heirloom farms, that would support my little restaurant. But I wanted to take it a different version. I wanted to create my own version of Sin Maíz No Hay País here in New England, here in Portsmouth itself. I wanted to be able to support my local food system while diving deep into its rich native heritage. By making tortillas, you have to start with great corn. But you also have to do the process called nixtamalization. Now, this is where it gets amazing to me, okay? So what you do here is you take native corn and you break it down through this process called nixtamalization, where we introduce calcium hydroxide to the corn when we cook it. And you're able to break down the outside of this corn, which is called the pericarp, and retain its nutritional value inside. The natives in Mexico, the Mesoamericans, and the natives on this land were able to do that by adding ash to their fire. That same reaction would break down the corn and retain its nutritional value. This is where it's mind-blowing to me. If you think about it, as we talked about in the beginning part of this speech in the land acknowledgement, by observation, by walking through it, by working through it, they were able to figure out how to retain the most nutritional value behind a product that was able to be shelf-stable to them and feed their village at the same time. It's amazing for me now to be able to carry on this tradition here in New England while using the corn of our land. At the same time, this is one fun fact that we say at Vida Cantina. The Cox family is also dedicated to regenerative farming. How many of us know about regenerative farming here? Great. So what it is a practice of really making healthy soil, reintroducing the farming technique so you can remove the amount of carbon that is in the air. So if you come to Vida Cantina and you eat our chips and salsa, if you enjoy our tacos, you're actually reducing the amount of carbon footprint that we have on our seacoast. So how easy is that, right? Come to Vida, eat some tacos, eat some chips and salsa, and drink a margarita, and you're doing your part, right? So you're able, by breaking down the pericarp, you're able to retain the niacin and retain that nutritional value through the corn itself. In the first year of this project, we were able to grow about an acre of corn over the first couple years. This year, we harvested 35 acres. We added on 2 more farms because the project got so big. At the time, we were able to start a company called Vida Tortilla. We realized that we wanted to create something that could really get out to the community more. Since then, my wife and I have sold the company to our production manager, another Mexican-American, Dina Wilford, who is carrying on a tradition and also is a woman-owned business, which is absolutely amazing. Throughout the years, I have really wanted to make it important to me to really dig into the native corns that are related to this land itself. Through an organization I help run, the Heritage Harvest Project, which runs an event once a year called Farmacue. Who's been to Farmacue before? We were able to find the true autophylle corn. Now, autophylle, this is where I kind of nerd out on you all, okay? Is an amazing variety of corn because it is the true Abenaki corn that is grown here on this land. Through our research, we were also able to find that it was one of the most colonized seeds here as well. What does that mean? Europeans came over here and stole this corn, this variety from the native communities, and brought it back to Europe and popularized it as polenta. Because through history we were able to see that they colonized this corn, they didn't find out how to properly retain its nutritional value. So there is many reports of malnutrition and death over this. This is a beautiful thing. This picture right here, the corn that you taste when you eat at Vida, tells the story of colonization in this area itself, how something can be so destructive and how we as a community need to look into that and now replant it. At the Heritage Harvest Project, we planted 1 acre of it last year to help save the seed so we can continue to grow it out throughout the land. To continue to touch on the research that we have done this year, this is another corn that we harvested just a couple weeks ago, I guess a couple months ago now. Sorry, I apologize. This is the red kernel King Philip corn. It is amazing for me to have it in my hand. Why? Because this is another variety that was colonized by the Europeans as well. If you look at this corn, you see the beautiful red color. But what the Europeans saw is the red man. So because of the colonization that happened in this land, they naturally started to breed it out and turn it into a white corn. But what is absolutely incredible behind this, the red corn and the red stalked ear or red stalk of these varieties actually had a natural insect repellent called mason. Now the mason would reduce the amount of earworms that they would have in their crop. The native culture understood that by once again observing the land that they tilled, that they worked, and by year after year working through this. But by being colonized, they have naturally worked out this natural earworm insect repellent. The stories that we continue to keep these stories are what continue to keep our food systems true. We as a community need to continue to fight the systemic racism that feeds our food systems. We need to get back to and deepen our understanding of traditional native ways that feed the people while simultaneously caring for the land for generations to come. Thank you so much.